Hello, people of YouTube. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for 200 subscribers. Thank you so much for that, and I hope we can reach 1K eventually. And I'm working on an animation for that, but that might take a little bit. So I am doing a eye tutorial right now. And I'm doing this because someone on Instagram asked if I could make an eye tutorial, and the video format there isn't the best. So I decided to upload it to YouTube. So as you can see, what I already sketched out here, eyes are usually somewhat like a parallelogram. And when you might have to adjust the parallelogram to what type of eyes you want to draw, because things like race, ethnicity, and everything will affect how somebody's eyes will look. For example, there are hooded eyes and almond eyes, and I cannot think of another type of eyes right now, but there are a whole bunch, and if you want, you could do more research on that. Anyways, let's start. So first of all, my reference will be on screen right now, and you just basically want to sketch out your flat shape. So following the parallelogram, you can just do a sort of rounder shape, round out your edges, and one side of the eye will have a particular rounder edge, and this one will be cut off by some pink skin on the inside. I have no idea what any of these are called. And the other side will be sharper. So then you can continue drawing your basic shapes like pupils and irises. This is also just going to be a sketch, so I won't be doing all the details inside the iris. And then the fold of the skin above the eye, or sometimes there might not be any, depending on what type of eyes you have or what type of eyes that you're drawing. Then you can sketch out where the nose bridge starts and how your eyebrow looks. Now, it is kind of hard to talk and think while drawing, so forgive me if this is not 100% accurate, or if I sound like I am struggling for words, because trust me, every time I sound like that, I am. So then now you have your guidelines, you can start mapping out your lights and shadows. So in the eye, there will usually be highlights. Those are the really bright points of your eye. And for my reference, there's one in the top right and one smaller one in the top left. It might be mirrored for you guys though. Then you can start doing your shadows, and those are usually under the folds of the eye and where the eye kind of bulges out from the face because it's a three-dimensional object. You can add more shadow to the part where it's connecting to the nose bridge because, as you know, it's 3D and this part is not entirely flat. It's like raised, which will have it be shaded. So for this part, usually the middle of the eye here has less shading than the rest of it because the circular shape of the eye makes it so that it extends outwards past the eyebrow line, or at least equal with it. So you can just roughly crosshatch or sketch the lights and shadows. Now make sure when you draw the eye that there is a line for the bottom, because that is part of the eye that a lot of people or a lot of beginners miss. That's just you can see the thickness of the skin. It's not just paper thin. You have to add some thickness to it. And you can't see it from the top because you're at an angle, but it is still there. Now that you have the rough shadow, you can take a blending stump or a Q-tip and blend out your shadows slightly. And nothing is pure white except for maybe the highlights, but that just means that everything can be blended out. And just make sure to keep your darkest parts, the places that you cross-hatched, and your lightest places, like the places I mentioned before, like right over here. Keep in mind that the eyeball part is not completely white, so you can also blend that in a bit. Now that you have a more blended version of your eye, you can go in and start making the even darker parts. You can start by making the top lid of the eye a lot darker because you're going to be drawing eyelashes in anyways. And then you can just follow the lines and slightly cross-hatch down for more shadow. Also make sure to make the fold of the skin clear so your eyes don't look weird. And anywhere you need to, you can add heavier shadow. Now I like to do the eyebrows. Just draw lines basically. Take your blending stump, blend it slightly, and then draw more lines. Eyebrows really aren't that complicated. At this stage, I like to slightly clean up my smudged mess a little bit and use an eraser. A normal eraser works. I'm just using this smaller fancy one that I stole from an art class. Haha. Ha. Nah, like for real though, the teacher let me take it, so it's fine. Then you can blend out the places you just erased so it looks more natural and not like it's just a chunk of white on the eye. At this stage, I like to start drawing the pupil. And since it's just a sketch and a really small one, I don't like to draw all the little details within the iris. But some things to note with the iris is that there is usually a ring of really dark colors around the outside and also around the inside. And the pupil is very dark, although not fully black. Here you can just shade in the rest of your iris and apply similar pressure to the whole thing, and make sure to leave your highlights blank. But if you don't and you have a gel pen or something, you can always go in after you're done and just tap those two places in with a gel pen. Here, once we have the iris, we can just blend it out slightly. And there we go. For the eye, the eyeball that's right under the top layer of the eye will be slightly darker because the top eyelid is stopping the light from directly hitting it. So you can add some more shadow there. And then just to darken everything, make sure your shapes are clear from the beginning. And constantly refer back to your reference because that will be your biggest help. I can just draw eyes without a reference now because I've done it so many times. But it may be hard in the beginning to draw eyes without a reference, and you may find them all looking like the same basic eyes. And it is more fun for me to draw with reference because then the eyes will end up looking different and unique each time because I'm copying them from a real human being. Now that we're at this stage, we can start adding in the eyelashes, where it's just one stroke out. Start from the top fold of the skin of the eye, and then just in one smooth motion go out. And notice how I made the fold of the eye really dark, so you can't exactly tell where the eyelash starts and where it ends. And that's just a trick I like to use that is helpful. Once I have the eyelashes, I like to slightly blend the tips of them just to make them less visible and clear. It's just something that I like doing, but you don't have to do this step. And then for the eyelashes on the bottom, keep in mind that they do not start at the inner line, they start at the outer line. And they can go inside the fold of the skin, but they are mostly at the outer line. And they are also shorter than the ones at the top, and also less thick and dark. I like to go in under the line of the skin and shade it a little bit just to make it pop more. And then the usual blending the tips of the eyelashes. And by now, sometimes I have this part smudged, sometimes I don't. I usually like to go in with a eraser too. It's at this stage where it helps having a small eraser like this, but it's also not necessary if it's not smudged. And even if it is smudged, a normal sized eraser should just be fine. There we go. And then we can go in for finishing touches, make things look more smooth, erase some more highlights if we need them. And this last step is optional. If you have highlights that you didn't leave out in the beginning, you can take a white gel pen. This is the one I use. And just go in again and go over with the white gel pen. And it makes highlights especially pop. It's also really fun to use, which is a bonus, I guess. And there we go. That's my eye tutorial finished. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, you should subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by, let's say, the end of 2022. Okay, thanks for watching.